Since taking office, Joe Biden has not been shy about his hatred of guns, and he hasn't missed an opportunity to go after the Second Amendment.
We're taking steps to confront not just the gun crisis, but what is actually a public health crisis. No amendment to the Constitution is absolute. I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence, pass universal background checks, ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
Biden's assault against our gun rights has only continued from there. Joe's first nominee to run the ATF was gun control activist David Chipman, whose ideas were too radical to get confirmed. So that means for the last 10 months, the ATF has been run by acting director Marvin Richardson. Richardson has been with the Bureau for over 30 years, serving in leadership positions under Obama, Trump, and now Biden. He's clearly qualified enough to be made the actual director, so you'd think he would be next in line. But that's where you're wrong. Instead of promoting a highly qualified black man to the position of ATF director, Biden is demoting him back to deputy director and appointing someone else. News reports show that Biden is planning to pick Gary Restaino, the top U.S. prosecutor in Arizona, as the interim ATF director until a permanent leader is confirmed. So what did Marvin Richardson do to deserve this insult? Well, apparently he's not anti-gun enough for Biden and the Democrats. After Richardson appeared at a gun trade show back in January, the liberals lost it, insisting that Richardson was, quote, an industry-friendly subordinate pumping the brakes on Biden's gun control efforts. Or maybe he was just doing his job. But now the administration that claims to value diversity is passing on appointing a qualified black man to ATF director. Now imagine if Donald Trump had done that. Buck Sexton is the co-host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, and he joins me here in New York. Good to have you here, Buck. All right, so what we've got now is the Biden administration taking someone qualified who was under 3 presidents and demoting him, an African-American, to be replaced by a white individual. Why is the left not saying anything?
It's all about the politics of a mid-year election, Judge. What you see here is the Biden administration wants someone running the ATF who is going to give them the sound bites, the talking points that they want to make it seem like they're taking action on crime in general, more specifically on gun control issues. So that's essential to them. That's really what they're looking to do here. And the fact of the matter is that it's unserious. It's not going to actually have any real impact. They're focusing in on ghost guns as if that's a major part of what's causing street crime, the rise in violence. The real problem is progressive prosecutors. The real problem is the Democrats decided, particularly in the aftermath of the BLM protests and riots, not to enforce criminal justice laws that we already have in the books about guns, about a whole range of things, because they felt like the system was rigged and unfair. But the Democrats can't say that. So instead, they're going to give ghost guns and assault rifle bans and things like that as talking points to the base in a year where otherwise, what are they going to say? We messed up?
Well, they could also admit that they messed up when it came to cash bail and eliminating bail, because anyone they arrest isn't going to stay in jail at all. They're just going to let them out, and they won't even get to the prosecutor in the first place. They'll end up, committing other crimes. But Joe Biden talks about the fact that we've got to do all of these background checks, and he doesn't seem to recognize that most crimes are being committed by people who have illegal guns. They don't need a background check to buy an illegal gun on the street. They don't even, in a lot of these cases, have any information on the people or where they're buying them.
This goes to what they think they would even accomplish. Let's say they get the ATF director that they have already discussed and nominated. They'd have somebody who would be taking a very adversarial position against gun owners in general, which is what they want, and it's what all these left-wing anti-Second Amendment groups actually want to see happen. So what are they going to do? They're going to start arresting some hobbyists here and there who make their own guns. You go to crime scenes in New York, Los Angeles, Houston, find me a major city that's had a huge spike in shootings in the last few years. You're not finding weapons that people made themselves at home because they're hobbyists. Obviously, this is a tiny percentage of overall weapons that will be used in any crime. It's unserious from a criminal justice perspective. But they're looking at a midterm election where on the border and on crime and on inflation, on everything, they're going to get wiped out unless they at least have something that they can point to and say, see, we're doing what would be necessary, or we're doing something to actually help with crime. It's not going to do a thing, Judge.
So, but you believe that this Restiano is a guy who can probably put out talking points, or is someone who might be more serious to them and to their talking points? I mean, is there enough time for the public to even get any information from that person?
They want an ATF director who will give them the press conferences they want and say that the experts at the ATF agree with this Biden regulation on guns that gets deep into the weeds, and that's really just essentially a giveaway to the anti-gun left, and that's the whole point of this. It will do nothing on crime, but they'll pretend that it will, because otherwise they're going in for a rough midterm election year.
Yeah, very rough term. Maybe they could have Kamala try to figure out what the root causes of crime are. Anyway, Buck Sexton, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.